The Hunger Games film this past weekend pulling off a box office triumph. I think the first movie since Avatar to be #1 4 weeks in a row. What's driving this?
Well, what's driving it is they managed to find a way to attract not only men, not only women, but men to see this as well. I mean, for Twilight, the primary driver was female moviegoers. For the Hunger Games, because of the action involved, because they knew people were going to get killed, a lot of men went to see it and sort of said to their friends, hey, this is a pretty good film. They also managed to get pretty good reviews from critics that also helped to drive it long term. And also this is a franchise that's based on a popular series of books that helps to ground it, helps to continue excitement about the franchise into the future. The one thing they're going to run into, though, is they're changing directors. Gary Ross has decided he's not going to direct the next one, and so can the next director come up with the same successful formula? Can he make a popular work of entertainment that gets some critics involved, gets men and women involved, and still continues it? That doesn't always happen. The Chronicles of Narnia franchise kind of fumbled a bit when they changed directors, when they changed books. They didn't continue the momentum from the very first one. Can the Hunger Games follow the Harry Potter model and not follow the Chronicles of Narnia model?
And for people who don't know or haven't read the books, there are 3 books, the next one being Catching Fire and the third one being Mockingjay. They're changing directors for the second one. I wonder, though, just to sort of reverse a little bit, maybe this will be a good thing for the second one. There are those people out there who think that critically the film wasn't as good as it could have been, that they were clamoring for a director change, and that they think that all of this, the box office success it's had right now is really just based on the fact that the books were so amazing and so well read internationally. But would that happen for the second book? Maybe changing directors could be a good thing for that.
The thing is, whenever you have a work like this that has so many passionate fans, you're going to find some people who say, it wasn't as good as the book, they need to change the director. Nothing will ever satisfy those people unless they direct it themselves. So I think by changing directors, they're really rolling the dice to see whether a director can really get the critical acclaim and most of the fan base on board with their vision, because every fan has a different vision in their head about how these books should look on screen.
Now, but you take a critical look at things, Chris. You obviously saw the Harry Potter franchise. You saw this first Hunger Games movie. Didn't you feel, though, that it diverged more from the book than some of the Harry Potter films? I mean, the Harry Potter films stayed pretty true, by and large, to what J.K. Rowling wrote.
I think you're right there. I think that J.K. Rowling took a bit of a more active role in terms of making sure things adhered to her vision of the books. I also think the fans of Harry Potter were a bit more into the minutiae of the books, and the books were a little more detailed because they were far longer, especially towards the end of the series. This book had a lot of open space for a director or screenwriter to fill in those open spaces with their own vision. The next book also does in terms of what the monsters look like, in terms of in this first film, the film fleshed out what was happening behind the scenes of the Hunger Games, how they're moving all these creatures around on this sort of giant chessboard. A director needs to do that. It's not in the books. And so the next director will have to have a vision big enough to do that.
And one of the biggest challenges, of course, being this interior dialogue that goes on in the head of the main protagonist, Katniss Everdeen. I mean, so much of it is her thought process, and that seemed to be one of the biggest challenges for Gary Ross in directing this movie. How do you then, all the silence that we had in the book that was just going on in her head, how do you then put that on the screen? I would think for any director coming in, that's going to be their challenge as well.
It's tough to do, and it's a different medium. I mean, of course, Peter Jackson faced the same difficulty in adapting the Lord of the Rings for the big screen. There was open space for him to sort of fill in the details. There was a passionate fan base. The film ended up making a lot of money. It's a big challenge for a director. Gary Ross really, just by the box office results alone, clearly went over the bar to do this. It's going to be tough for another director to juggle the special effects, juggle the fan base, juggle these books, and come up with a vision that actually makes money at the box office in the way that this film did.
All right, well, this film's certainly doing well. Again, #1 for 4 weeks running. Let's take a look at the rest of our box office right now, rounding it out. I think that the Three Stooges were #2. Can we get that chart up there? There we go. Three Stooges at $17.1 million. The Cabin in the Woods. Titanic in 3D. You get to hear the Celine Dion song again. And American Reunion, that is off the American Pie franchise. Bringing up the rear, $10.6 million.